What if this screen, your hands, the world around you, isn't fundamentally physical at all? Picture reality as a cosmic projection, like images on a movie screen that appear solid yet consist of light. According to the ancient Hermetic principle of mentalism, the solid reality you experience is actually a projection of consciousness. Quantum physicists have discovered that particles don't behave like definite objects until observed, a finding remarkably aligned with this ancient wisdom. Reality might be more mental than material. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how this principle has been known for thousands of years, and more importantly, how understanding it can transform your ability to shape your own experience. Take a moment right now to look at your hand. Really look at it. It seems undeniably solid, doesn't it? The skin, the lines, the texture, all forming what you experience as a physical object existing in a physical world. But what if I told you that solid hand is actually more like a persistent thought than a material thing? Your five senses work tirelessly to create a convincing illusion, a seamless experience of material reality that feels beyond question. This table beneath my coffee cup, this chair I'm sitting on, this body I inhabit, all seem undeniably real. But there's a fundamental problem with perception. You don't experience reality directly. Not ever. What you're actually experiencing is your brain's interpretation of electrical signals. Light triggers reactions in your retina, sound creates pressure changes in your ear, and these signals flow to your brain, which constructs your experience. Imagine your brain as a sophisticated film director, creating a seamless movie from disconnected sensory data. Except you're watching this movie from the inside, completely immersed in its reality. Your brain receives roughly 11 million bits of information every second, yet your conscious mind can only process about 50 bits. Your awareness represents less than 0.0005% of the information available to you. Your perception is a radically filtered version of reality, like watching a vast ocean through a drinking straw. Consider some classic sensory illusions. When identical grey squares appear as different shades because of their surroundings, that's not an anomaly, but a window into how your perception actively constructs reality. The McGurk effect, where seeing lips form ga while hearing ba creates the perception of da, reveals how your brain blends inputs to create a cohesive experience. Even more revealing is the blind spot in each eye, where your optic nerve connects to your retina. You have two literal holes in your vision right now, but your brain fills them in so seamlessly you never notice. Your brain isn't showing you reality, it's showing you its best guess. This materialist framework, the belief that physical matter is primary and consciousness secondary, creates profound suffering when we mistake our limited perception for the whole truth. When you believe your thoughts about reality are reality itself, you become trapped in a mental prison. How often have you felt stuck in circumstances that seem fixed and unchangeable? The job you can't leave, the relationship pattern you keep repeating, the financial ceiling you can't break through. These situations feel like immovable physical realities because your senses tell you they are. You perceive yourself as separate from what you desire, with concrete barriers between your current state and what you want to create. But what if an ancient understanding could transcend these limitations? What if the sages and mystics throughout history weren't speaking poetically when they suggested reality isn't what it appears to be? Consider this possibility. Everything you think is real. This video, your body, the world around you, might actually be a mental construct rather than a physical one. This doesn't mean it's imaginary or that you can simply wish it away. Rather, it suggests consciousness itself might be the primary substance of reality, not matter. This realization could transform every aspect of your existence. If reality is fundamentally mental rather than physical, then the limitations you experience may not be as fixed as they appear. The barriers between you and what you desire might exist primarily in consciousness, not in some external, immutable physical world. The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. These words begin the Kybalion, hinting at a profound truth that requires a certain receptivity of mind. This ancient Hermetic statement suggests that some knowledge reveals itself only to those prepared to truly comprehend it. much like our journey today between ancient wisdom and quantum reality. What if the most cutting-edge findings in modern physics were actually rediscoveries of wisdom known thousands of years ago? The ancient Hermetic teachings weren't waiting for experimental validation, yet somehow they anticipated what our most sophisticated instruments are only now revealing. The first principle of Hermeticism states plainly, "The all is mind, the universe is mental." When I first encountered this statement, it seemed like mystical poetry rather than a description of reality. How could the solid chair I'm sitting on, the device you're watching this on, or the body you inhabit be mental rather than physical? The claim appears absurd until we look at what quantum physics has uncovered about the nature of reality. The double-slit experiment offers a revealing window into reality's true nature. When particles pass through two slits unobserved, they behave as waves, creating interference patterns. Yet when observed, they act as solid objects through a single slit. This fundamental experiment demonstrates that matter exists as potential until consciousness interacts with it. Like a veil being lifted from our perception, the solid world dissolves into probabilities when we peer closely enough. Physicist John Wheeler, who worked with Einstein and Bohr, recognized this ancient truth in modern form. His concept of a participatory universe echoes Hermetic understanding. Observers don't merely witness reality, but participate in creating it. Wheeler suggested that consciousness helps bring into being not only the near and here, but the far away and long ago. The ancient and modern wisdom converge in this crucial insight. Consciousness shapes reality. Similarly, quantum physicist David Bohm proposed that consciousness may be a fundamental aspect of the universe itself. His theory of an implicate order suggests mind and matter aren't separate categories, but expressions of a unified reality. The separation we perceive is merely a convenient illusion. These aren't fringe theories, but serious attempts by leading scientists to explain experimental results that defy materialist explanations. What's remarkable is how these scientific discoveries echo the Hermetic principle of mentalism articulated thousands of years ago. The ancients somehow grasped, without particle accelerators or wave function equations, that mind and reality are inextricably connected. That consciousness doesn't just perceive the world, but participates in shaping it. This convergence between ancient wisdom and modern physics suggests we're approaching a more complete understanding of reality, one that reintegrates consciousness into our model of the universe. For centuries, Western science operated on the assumption that the physical world exists independently of mind. Now the evidence points toward a more nuanced view that aligns with what Hermetic philosophers have maintained all along. The Kybalion further suggests that understanding and controlling our thoughts can significantly impact our experiences. If reality is fundamentally mental, then mastering our mental states isn't just about feeling better. It's about transforming our relationship with reality itself. Could our conscious attention and intention be collapsing fields of possibility into specific experiences in ways we haven't yet recognized? The Hermetic masters would say yes, and now quantum physics offers a framework for understanding how this might work. These quantum principles are operating in your daily reality. What the ancients called mental alchemy might be the most practical application of the mentalism principle, yet most of us are transforming lead into gold without even realizing we possess this power. The question is whether you're practicing mental alchemy consciously. Mental alchemy represents one of the most profound Hermetic practices, a methodology for transforming your lived experience through the deliberate application of consciousness. Where modern self-help often skims the surface with positive thinking, mental alchemy suggests that mastering your thoughts can fundamentally reshape your reality from the inside out. Consider what happens when you're not consciously directing your mind. Most people drift through existence, allowing unconscious programming to determine their experiences. These default patterns, often limiting beliefs formed in childhood or inherited cultural assumptions, become the invisible architects of our circumstances. We then look at these circumstances as proof that reality works in a certain way, completing a self-reinforcing loop of creation and perception. Your consciousness actively filters and interprets information through the lens of your expectations. Neuroscience reveals something profound about this process. Changing your beliefs physically alters your neural pathways. Your brain reorganizes itself based on what you believe to be true. This transformation feels like a gentle awakening. Connections that once sparked automatically begin to dissolve, replaced by new pathways that tingle with unfamiliar possibility. This neuroplasticity forms the biological foundation for personal transformation. Two people can experience the same event entirely differently. One sees opportunity where another sees obstacle. Psychology offers compelling evidence for this through studies on expectation and self-fulfilling prophecies. The filters you use determine what information reaches your awareness and how you interpret it. The first step in mental alchemy involves becoming aware of your current thought patterns. Through mindfulness, you can observe your thoughts without immediately identifying with them. This creates space between stimulus and response where transformation becomes possible. Next comes examining limiting beliefs, unconscious assumptions that restrict your experience. Cognitive restructuring techniques help you identify these beliefs and question their validity. The simple act of asking, "Is this actually true?" can begin unraveling even the most entrenched mental patterns. Intentional reality creation forms the third step, consciously directing your focus toward what you wish to experience. Visualization is particularly powerful here. Athletes have long used this technique to improve performance, creating neural pathways that support desired outcomes in physical reality. When you vividly immerse yourself in the sensory experience of your desired reality, you're establishing patterns your brain begins to recognize as familiar. Practical techniques include daily journaling to track recurring thought patterns, meditation to develop awareness, and guided imagery sessions. Affirmations can be effective when they're designed to gently challenge rather than completely contradict existing beliefs. The difference between intellectual understanding and embodied practice cannot be overstated. Knowledge without application remains theoretical. Mental alchemy requires both understanding and consistent practice. The gap between theory and practice may seem vast, but your everyday life already contains unmistakable evidence of reality's mental nature, if you know where to look. Have you ever experienced a moment when time itself seemed to bend? Those profound moments when seconds feel like hours, or when hours pass like minutes, aren't merely subjective illusions. They're revealing cracks in the materialist explanation of reality. Have you noticed those unexplainable coincidences that occasionally punctuate your life? The person you were just thinking about calls you. The book that mysteriously falls open to exactly the page you needed. The perfect opportunity appearing just as you decided to pursue a new direction. We've been conditioned to dismiss these as random occurrences, but these synchronicities are glimpses of something profound. Moments when the mental fabric of reality becomes briefly visible, like tuning into a frequency that's always broadcasting but rarely heard. Our mental states don't just color our experience. They fundamentally shape what we perceive as physical reality. The placebo effect provides compelling evidence of this mind-matter connection. Studies consistently show that patients receiving sugar pills or sham treatments experience genuine physical improvements. Pain subsides, symptoms diminish, and measurable physiological changes occur, all because of belief alone. This represents central evidence that mind influences matter at the most fundamental level. The materialist worldview struggles with such phenomena, often relegating them to just psychological effects, as if the mind were somehow separate from reality rather than integral to it. This dismissal weakens when examining research on visualization techniques. Athletes who mentally rehearse their performances activate the same neural pathways as physical practice, leading to measurable improvements. The brain recognizes less distinction between mental and physical experience than we've been taught. Your emotional states dramatically alter not just how you feel, but what you perceive as possible. In states of fear or anxiety, possibilities contract. The world feels threatening and options limited. Yet in states of inspiration or love, the same circumstances suddenly reveal new potentials. This isn't merely a psychological curiosity. It's a clue about the relationship between consciousness and reality. Those moments of intuitive insight when knowledge appears without logical reasoning. Where does that information come from? We've been taught to view intuition with suspicion, yet these flashes of knowing often prove correct in ways that defy explanation through purely physical models. Even more revealing are those experiences when the separation between observer and observed dissolves. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists describe moments when the painting paints itself, and meditators recognize it as non-dual awareness. In these states, the boundaries between self and world fade, revealing a fundamental unity aligned with the Hermetic understanding that all is mind. These experiences aren't anomalies to dismiss, but invitations to reconsider reality's nature. They occur precisely where materialist explanations fall short, suggesting a deeper order where consciousness isn't just an observer of reality, but participates in its very creation. Take a moment to reflect. What experiences have you had that don't fit neatly into a materialist framework? Those instances when your perception of time shifted, when you knew something you couldn't possibly know, when reality seemed to respond meaningfully to your thoughts. These aren't just curiosities, they're personal evidence of the principles we've been exploring. As we've seen, the line between observer and observed is far thinner than most realize. What ancient Hermetic masters intuited through contemplative practice, quantum physics now confirms through experiment. But understanding isn't merely intellectual, it's experiential. I invite you to try this meditation. Focus on your breath while visualizing thoughts as clouds drifting across a vast sky. Feel the spacious calm as you recognize yourself as the awareness watching these thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. This practice reveals something profound. You are consciousness observing form, not form itself. Remember, the universe is a symbolic reflection of what happens inside ourselves. When you realize reality is fundamentally mental, transformation becomes possible. Join me next time as we explore the principle of correspondence, how, as above, so below, reveals patterns connecting all existence, unlocking deeper mysteries of consciousness.